Today's video is sponsored on Patreon by Daniel Stewart. Ziatora versus Akiri, Riku and Illuna. Yeah, we've got potentially 3 mana. We'll need to get into a swamp for this. Yeah, it's not the best, but I don't think it's so bad that we have to ship it back. Alright, and just like that we get into a swamp which will turn on the Tainted Peak. Coiling Oracle, the first spell for Riku, which does get them into a land. Following that up, the Illuna player goes for Veil of Summer, just to draw a card. Dowsing Dagger from the Equipment's player, and they decide to give the plant tokens over to Riku. A Galter Primal Hunger for us. Get down the Arcane Signet. And inexcusably white bordered Wood Elves for Illuna. Fabricate allows Riku to search for an artifact. They searched up a Soul Ring with that, so playing the Soul Ring and then throwing out Lightning Greaves after that. 4 cards left in hand and equipped onto the Coiling Oracle. And it is Akiri that eats the damage from that. Brass Squire before Akiri hits play. I think I'll wait for both Akiri and Riku to come out, and we've got the second board wipe, so yeah, probably save the Blasphemous Act for later on, so that we don't have to pile as much life into a board wipe. So yeah, it's Tainted Peak into the Riveted Ascendancy. Cultivate from Illuna. So predictably we see Riku of 2 reflections. I'd really like to wrap up a big creature from Illuna in the board wipe as well, so I might wait another turn cycle, seeing as how we're going really slow. That does mean that I'll want to blow up the Dowsing Dagger before Akiri hits us with that. Riku hitting us, as does the Coiling Oracle. And again, as we thought, we see Akiri, Fearless Voyager. No doubt they'll want to equip the Dowsing Dagger onto the Akiri. I don't know if it's a wiser decision to go after the Lightning Greaves rather than the Dowsing Dagger. They do have to deal damage to a player with Dowsing Dagger, so it might be that the board wipe keeps them from doing that, especially if we've got a chump blocker in play. Let's see what we draw into first. Okay, Beast Within, so more removal. Yeah, let's go for Rexage. We'll put it on the Lightning Greaves, I think is a better option. I really do want to try and wrap up something big in the board wipe from the Teamer player. Alright, there we go. We see the Blasphemous Act, so getting a board wipe out of the Teamer player's hand before we crack one of our 2. And straight after the board wipe it is Jace the Mind Sculptor, and they go for the Brainstorm on that. Urban Evolution, draw 3, and you can play an additional land. SRAM Senior Edificer from Akiri. Alright, Mana Crypt, so can't just throw out my commander with nothing to do with it. I mean, we could go for our commander and then go for the Galter next turn. I was hoping that I could go for Jace the Mind Sculptor here. Are they just going to unsummon our commander? Yeah, that's probably what they'll do, unfortunately. I think we're just continuing to go slow, unfortunately. We'll go through to the beginning of Illuna's turn and then we'll throw out a Summoning Sick Beast. Okay, Alright, but that's why you wait. Chaos Warp is going on to the Jace the Mind Sculptor, so once again getting someone else to use their removal so we can keep hold of ours. And as always, Chaos Warp getting into a land, cracking the Verdant Catacombs. That does mean that maybe we should have gone for our commander so that we can slam down the Galter next turn, but I don't think I'm particularly interested in just slapping someone for 12 damage anyway. Not until we've got Infect on our commander anyhow. Glowstone Recluse, 2+ counters on it when it mutates, followed by a Porcuparrot, and that is X damage to any target where X is the number of times it's mutated for a tap. Riku back into play. Dowsing Dagger being equipped onto the SRAM, so that is now a 4/3, and they're likely going to flip the Dowsing Dagger here. I'd be tempted to use the Beast Within on the SRAM here. One, because they won't get to flip this round. It also gets rid of a SRAM, plus they're attacking us. But I think it's wiser to get rid of this because Illuna's just a really powerful commander, so yeah, we'll try and take some help from the Akiri player. We also have to play around the fact that players will scoop if they see too much interaction. So we allow them to hit us with the Dowsing Dagger. And then they go for a search with Open the Armory. It is Sword of Hearth and Home that they've gone for with that. Okay, and once again forcing our opponents to use their own spot removal. Yeah, I mean, they got to flip this around, but at least we got them to use their Fateful Absence, which means they're not using it on our stuff. So maybe the wise move is to keep hold of Beast Within for stuff like Sword of Hearth and Home. Alright, a Force of Will, so gets 2 cards out of their hand with that. They exiled a Blue Sun Zenith, so yeah, was worth keeping hold of the Beast Within regardless, and they obviously want to keep their Mutate stuff. So managing to trade in the mutated creatures for a 3-3, so that our turn cycle wasn't totally wasted. And that is a Polluted Delta. I think we just have to go for our commander and then go for the Galta next turn, and yeah, we're not really doing a whole lot of anything, unfortunately. It's noteworthy that we can bring back the Reclamation Sage with our enchantment if we sacrifice a creature that has 4 CMC or greater. So while I'm not in a rush to sacrifice the Galta, it might be worth doing that depending on what enchantments and artifacts we see. Souvenir Snatcher, they can at least go for a Mutate, thanks to having a creature left in play. And they can gain control of the Sol Ring, which they do, taking some mana away from the Riku player. Then deciding not to swing in with the 4/4 bird. Peregrine Drake for Riku. So that will enter an untap 5 lands. And they did have 4 mana floating there, so they can copy the Peregrine Drake here, which they do. So untapping a total of 5 lands here. Following that up with a Green Warden of Marasa. So they'll fish a couple of things out of the graveyard here, most likely. First thing is the Fabricate, searching up an artifact. And then copying the Green Warden of Marasa, grabbing back the Lightning Greaves, which they can cast this turn. So replaying the Lightning Greaves, and it goes onto their commander. Maybe should have played it even slower and not gone for the Ziatora. Then again, with the way the board stands now, we can still go for the Toxic Deluge and keep our commander in play. Okay, it's another board wipe. Austere command all artifacts, all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of interaction this game. Green Warden of Marasa, they can definitely sacrifice or exile the token version, because obviously can't grab that back. Getting back the Peregrine Drake with one of the targets. And then, yeah, they exiled the original as well and brought back the Riku straight into hand to avoid more command attacks. Oh, actually, Riku is still in the graveyard. Yeah, they got back the Peregrine Drake. Does the tokens not work like that? You actually have to have the creature hit the exile zone. Yeah, Riku might be stuck in the graveyard here. SRAM hits the Illuna player. Okay, managed to get ourselves into a land. We are still a million miles away from actually doing anything relevant this game. Okay, I'm actually not against that. A Time Twister could get us back into this. Yeah, we get into a tutor. Nothing instant, unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, we really needed to get into a different hand there. Unfortunately, shuffling all the interaction back into people's library. Noteworthy that they gave the Riku player back the Riku commander there, because they can choose to put it into the command zone instead of their library, so yeah, really saving the other team a player. That's exactly why you don't scoop when you think that you're out of it. Leyline of Anticipation as well from Illuna. Mystical Tutor from Riku. They fetch themselves up a Genesis Ultimatum. Then casting the Genesis Ultimatum that they've just drawn into, got themselves into a Sol Ring, a Sphinx of Athum, which they are pointing at us, and Ilhag the Raise Boar as well. So it's Thassa, Hornet Queen. I mean, they've got really good cards either way here. I really don't like the Phyrexian Ingester. We'll just have to hope that they use that on something else. But really don't want Phyrexian Ingester and Thassa being in the same hand either. So we'll just leave it like that. Obviously Thassa and Hornet Queen go really well together as well, but that is a lot of mana, so yeah, going for the 2 cards that we gave to them. They've got back into Lightning Greaves apparently. So Ilhag the Raised Boar is going to do some damage here. Can actually cheat out the Hornet Queen here. I think they have to sacrifice it with this though, don't they? Oh no, just return it to hand, alright, so they can get out the free tokens. And it is the Hornet Queen that they go after with Ilhag. Ilhag swinging in at Illuna. The 2/2 Insect in at Akiri. Hedron Archive from the Boros player. And then it is Sword of Body and Mind. So should be able to go straight through to the Riku player. equipping the sword and then turning SRAM Senior Edificer straight in towards Riku, so they'll have to mill 10. Milling some stuff here. The Peregrine Drake goes down, Panharmonicon getting some good mills, Acidic Slime, Chaos Warp, some lands and ramp as well. We get into one of our power doublers. We'll actually have to have some creatures hit play and actually stay in play first. We really have to catch up on mana because we haven't done very well this game. So that can be Sakura Tribe Elder, and we'll go for Solemn Simulacrum as well. No need for Illuna to do anything during their turn thanks to the Ley Line of Anticipation, just passing straight through their turn. Ilhag swings into the left. In fact, all these creatures swinging in to the left, apart from the Hornet Queen that's going in at the Akiri player. Illuna throwing out an Acidic Slime, so that will likely go in the way of the Ilhag. And that either blows up Lightning Greaves or the sword, I would think. Yeah, it goes after the Lightning Greaves, so that getting destroyed for about the third time, I think, this game. So Ilhag the Raised Boar and Acidic Slime trading with each other there. Ilhag going to bounce the Hornet Queen back to hand. Thassa Deep Dwelling being hard cast, and then Lurking Predators as well. Obviously a completely creature-based deck of Riku. Thassa able to flicker the Hornet Queen before the Ilhag triggers and forces them to bounce it back to hand. And all these insect tokens play nicely into the Stag Beetle. If over the next couple of turns we can keep our commander in play and make some treasures, we might have enough mana to tutor for and get an Infect enabler. And then fling this at someone for Infect damage. Because if you haven't noticed, it is our commander that does the damage and not the creature being flung. Lurking Predators triggering for the first time off a Boros Signet, which gets them into a Dax duplicate. They go for a copy of the Hornet Queen as opposed to the Sphinx. Akiri, Fearless Voyager, into the Lurking Predators as well. They just revealed Lityara Mirror Lake. SRAM swinging in at Riku, who's looking like a pretty big threat here. Akiri will have them draw a card, making them another wolf token, and they mill some more stuff, a bunch of lands, some removal in Hull Breach and Pongify, Zealous Conscripts, so I'm guessing they've got Kiki Jiki in the deck, and there's Sower of Temptation as well. I've never seen that artwork for it. Swiftfoot Boots into the Lurking Predators as well, this time reveals a forest. And Swiftfoot Boots goes on Akiri. We will sacrifice Sakura Tribe Elder. Okay, and that is Korvold, Fakehurst Kings, so I think we just go for our commander and the Nature's Law here, in all honesty. Oh, actually, I've already cast Ziatora this turn, haven't I? So, yeah, just get down our commander then. Triggering the Lurking Predators again. I'm guessing they put the forest on the bottom. They did, so clearing 3 lands off the top with that. Not going to swing in the Solemn Simulacrum at the teamer player because I don't want to lose it in combat. Sure, they'll have a creature that they can throw out in the way of it. And we do want to sacrifice it for the treasures here. So sacrifice the Solemn Simulacrum. Riveter's Ascendancy will bring back the Sakura Tribe Elder for us for a little bit more ramp. 2 damage can go on the Riku, and we'll draw a card from Solemn as well. Draw into Mayhem Devil. And there we see our Wood Elves could have got through with the Solemn Simulacrum apparently. Once again, a land being revealed, so that Lurking Predator's doing some work over there. Cycling a Forgotten Cave. E-Witness for Riku. That is being pointed at the Panharmonicon. And they successfully grab that back, so playing out the Panharmonicon. And following that up with a Combustible Gearhulk, 4 cards in their hand at the moment. And they've got a bunch of flyers that they can deal a whole heap of damage with, so yeah, it's not looking good for taking a whole heap of damage here. One of the targets goes in at Akiri and one goes at us. They're tapped out here and we might be able to get rid of them next turn, so I don't often do this, but I'm actually going to give them the card draw with the Gearhulk. I'm hoping that if we give them the card draw they won't swing in too much at us either. They should probably be swinging in at the Illuna player, although they might not want to encourage a Cyclonic Rift or something like that. You do have to get that card over and done with though. So Akiri going down to 27. What went in the bin? It was a Rite of Replication and a Phyrexian Metamorph as well as a land. So we see a bunch of damage going in towards Illuna. So it's time to see with those 4 cards in hand if they've got any kind of mass bounce or anything like that. Looks like the Hornet Queens are going into the left as well. Just deciding to hold back the Dax duplicate Hornet Queen. Maybe as a Death Touch blocker just in case combat and Thassa doesn't go as intended. They can definitely get down their commander. Don't think we've seen their commander yet. So there we are. It is Illuna, Apex of Wishes. Revealing a Talisman, getting a lot of mana off the top of their library. Noteworthy that they could lose the original Hornet Queen here. That slammed down a Migratory Greathorn, so that is the one that Rampant Growths. And then they've got back into the Porcuparrot. This doesn't have Summoning Sickness because it went onto the Wood Elves, so they will be able to tap this down for some damage. Really hoping the Illuna player goes down here. Triggering the Illuna's ability again. Got them into Xenagos, which will be relevant next turn, if they get a next turn that is. So tapping down the Illuna instead of blocking, I think they're targeting themselves with that. Yeah, so they've obviously worked out combat damage and realised that they are going to go down to the swing in from the Hornet Queen stuff. So down goes Illuna, which bodes well for us. I'm hoping that Akiri doesn't wipe the board. I wouldn't have thought they'd want to, but maybe they'll wipe the board and protect their own creatures with the Akiri ability. I would very much like to turn it into a 1v1 against the Equipments player. Anyway, Thassa triggering again. And once again, oh no, going for the Dax duplicate this time. Okay, going after the Ziatora. So wanting to hold up some mana potentially. Okay, but that didn't trigger there. Yeah, not sure why that didn't trigger. It does have the ability. But anyway, deciding not to sacrifice anything maybe. I'm pretty sure it didn't trigger at all though, I didn't see it. Black Blade Reforged, and they do have plenty of lands there. Revealing a Bramble Sovereign. So that comes straight into play. SRAM Senior Edificer going to draw them a card on the equipment. And that does go on to the Akiri. So that is now an 11-11. If they swing in at us here, we'll have to watch out for commander damage over the next few turns. They are equipping the Sword of Body and Mind, so they could swing in at us or they could swing in over here. I mean, I think this is the obvious target. And then it is a Dispatch. Getting the red creature out of the way, that's an excellent play, so yeah, they're not going to be able to flicker that and have a whole bunch of damage and card advantage and all that. Exiling it, getting rid of it for good. If they can get Double Strike onto the Akiri, they can actually knock out the Riku player themselves here. So obviously swinging in with Riku, they draw a card with Akiri. If they manage to knock out the Teamer player, it does make our Stag Beetle much worse. Not managing to get Double Strike on that, unfortunately, so they go down to 8. And I think it's just best if we sacrifice the Sakura Tribel to get as much mana into play as possible for our next turn, because I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing. I think I'm still going to try and infect out the Riku player. Oh wow, we top deck. I was actually thinking... Oh my god. Yeah, I was actually thinking it'd be awesome, I wish I'd said it now. If we top deck a Strionic Resonator, that'd be great, because I can't shoot her for both of the things I need, but yeah, we either top deck an Infect Enabler or the Strionic Resonator, and that would be excellent. And yeah, we've managed to do it here, so let's go for the Stag Beetle. There's every chance that the Boros player still has removal for a Stag Beetle, but yeah, maybe... I don't know, maybe there's multiple things we can do here. We don't necessarily need Infect, really, do we? And that is a 27-27, so if we can keep this thing in play, then we could actually Strionic Resonator both of our opponents out of the game without Infect, couldn't we? So maybe we just save the Demonic Tutor? Yeah, it's times like this I wish I had Deflecting SWAT in the deck. I would have gone for that with the Demonic Tutor to protect this thing. I think we're just getting out the Strionic Resonator and keeping our fingers crossed here. A Clever Impersonator hit in play. Not sure if there's anything they can copy there that's actually relevant. Deciding to copy another Lurking Predators, so maybe... I don't know what they'd be going for with that, in all honesty, that could protect them here. And it looks like they've got the removal anyway. Yeah, just going for the Lapse of Certainty right now in order to counter that, so... I think we can still go for the Infect win here at least. Lurking Predators got a Void Slime onto the bottom, I'm assuming, and a Reclamation Sage into play. You'd think they'd go after the sword with that, and they do point it at the sword with one of them. They get 2 triggers thanks to the Panharmonicon, don't forget. Oh, both of them pointed at the sword, strangely. Yeah, they could have gone for the Black Blade Reforged there. Anyway, getting rid of the sword for certain. So I suppose it's a good thing that I didn't tutor for the red redirect there, because that wouldn't have helped us with the Lapse of Certainty. Let's go for the Demonic Tutor then. Trigger Lurking Predators once again. This time they get into Kiki Jiki, which could actually be relevant with a Sphinx of Athun, because they do have free counter magic in their deck, and revealing an Insidious Will as well. So we will attempt to go for, where is it? The Glistening Oil. And then we'll put the Glistening Oil onto our commander and go straight through to the Sacrificing End step. This just continues to hope that we don't have any spot removal going to go onto our Stag Beetle. Deadeye Navigator coming into play with no mana held up by this player. Pairing the Deadeye Navigator with E-Witness. Managing to land the Glistening Oil onto the Ziatora. So Ziatora at the end step triggers. I think we definitely have to sack the Stag Beetle. Riveter's Ascendancy is going to bring us back the Solemn Simulacrum. And Ziatora definitely being pointed for some Infect damage at the Riku player. Alright, so not taking both players out unfortunately, but definitely taking out the biggest threat there, down to 27 Infect. What we can do next turn though is go for the Corvold. That will go up to a 5-5 when it comes in, because we'll have to sacrifice something, and then we can double up its power to 10 with this and throw 10 Infect at our opponent. Once again, assuming that we manage to dodge spot removal. Sword of Hearth and Home, Stram has already drawn, so they're back into their protection from green. If they get double strike or a massive power boost here, then they'll have us. Playing a Solemn Simulacrum, so it doesn't look hopeful that they'll be able to get rid of us this turn. Turning their Akiri in sideways will draw them another card. There are instant speed, double strike effects and power doubling effects. We have a red power doubling effect in this deck, Unleash Fury I think it's called. Anyway, Sword of Hearth and Home going to flicker the Solemn Simulacrum, and they'll get a land from that as well. Got a Sword of Light and Shadow as well, which I don't think is going to be relevant. If we don't win next turn, then they definitely get us, I think. Curious that they're not equipping the sword, so they might be holding up Generous Gift or something like that. Minus counter goes on to the Ziatora, which isn't relevant. We get into a land, so just play the land. Play the Corvold, Fakehurst King. Enters the battlefield, we will sacrifice the Strip Mine. So that draws us a card, gets a plus counter on it. Okay, and a Toxic Deluge, so we could survive. Oh, actually, that's gone up to a 17-17, and we're at exactly 17 life, so no, we can't survive here. Yeah, I mean, we just have to go for broke right now, I think. So I'll just cast a Nature's Law. We'll go Mayhem Devil as well, and we can start throwing some damage around. Let's see if we draw into anything with the Marsh Flats. Corvold is going to trigger on that, as is the Mayhem Devil. Draw into a Painful Truths. So I think we're pretty much, yeah, just sticking with the same plan of going for Choose Your Weapon onto the Corvold. I'll actually point some damage at the Shram to get rid of that. Okay, Great Henge, that's actually pretty relevant. Potentially. I think we can just get that out for, yep, just 2 mana, so it pays for itself. Might as well play it. Gain some life with that, which actually puts us up to 18, so we can go for the Toxic Deluge now, if we are desperate. Cracking another treasure, we'll get rid of the Shram, and Corvold going to draw us again. Gets us into Topiary Stomper. Yeah, I have to hold up the mana here for the Toxic Deluge just in case. It would be really good to be able to crack another couple of treasures and just have this be a 10-10 straight up, but yeah, we'll just have to potentially waste the Choose Your Weapon here. So pointing that at the Corvold bumps this up to a 16-16. Might as well swing in some Infect at my opponent. That's actually relevant. Maybe could have doubled up the power and toughness of the Mayhem Devil. Turned it into a 6-6, and then we can keep the Corvold in play. Could have flung that with Infect damage instead. Alright, but forcing them to use the spot removal here. That is a Dorm Charm. Prevent all combat damage. Alright, that's fine. So they don't have Generous Gift. Might have Swords or Path yet. Just really trying to encourage them to use any spot removal, because we can only do the Ziatora thing at the end step. So seeing as how we've got Solemn Simulacrum held up, we can hopefully block the Akiri. I'll just go through to the end step and try and do this Infect thing. So Corvold triggering on itself. The Riveter's Ascendancy going to bring back the Sakura Tribelder, which will just be a chump blocker because we don't have any basics left. Ping our opponent with Mayhem Devil. And then point the Infect damage at our opponent and hope that they can't do anything about it. Alright, awesome. Went a little bit round the houses there because I was really trying to play around some kind of spot removal, really forcing my opponent to use it. But thankfully managed to make use of the Ziatora and Glistening Oil combo there, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. Be sure to consider donating on Patreon if you did. Huge thank you to the patrons for supporting the channel. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.